Hello out there. We're on the air. Welcome back to another day, another episode of the Daily Bitcoin Journey. This show focuses on actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. And today we're talking about the sneaky shift to a Bitcoin standard and more. So welcome everybody. Happy Tuesday. I unfortunately forgot to add Rumble. Sorry, Rumble. Not that you'll hear this, but sorry about that. Did the best I could today, but the best wasn't good enough, I guess you'd say. Right? Okay, who we got here? The first comment of the day goes to our good friend Clean Your Machine Inc. official, not the fake account, the official Clean Your Machine, also known as CYM for those typing. What's the goal today? Making Tuesdays a little bit better. How about that? Dashboard, what do we got for a balance here? We got 900 sats. Okay, we can do that. We can proceed with that. Okay, so the Zap stream is live, I believe. We got Killer over here. Good morning. Buck 52,000. I can hear Arnie ripping up his bed. And we got a couple folks over in the Zap stream, including Letha. Good morning, Letha. Good to see you. Great to see you. Letha sent in 2 zaps yesterday, actually, for the dog fund. I got a couple thank yous to say. But anyways, thank you, Letha. Santino, Ginger, Rick Costa. Don't forget to smash the like, folks. I came up. Oh, is the audio not working? Hold on, Bodie. It says it's working. Connected to the right mic. Can others confirm that I'm loud and clear? Would appreciate that. I came up with a new term yesterday. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to love. And don't forget to zap. Not bad, eh? Trademark. E&E. Good morning, my friend. Buck 52 sent 50 sats for the dog fund. All right, the dog fund is here in front of me today, unlike yesterday. Apologies for that. But it looks like we got another zap here from our good friend Josh Owa. 888 sats. That's becoming his new trademark. I like that. That's one sneaky thing I never thought about when I was naming this channel. I didn't know that, well, zaps weren't really a thing when I started the channel. But it's kind of like my new signature when I'm zapping people. If they see 88 sats, it's kind of cool recognition there, I guess you'd say. Number recognition. Jason, good morning. Got to say a big thank you to Jason, too. Jason sent in 10,088 sats yesterday for the pups. So I didn't have this wallet here, but I checked after and I missed one from Jason. So thank you, Jason. Very kind of you. And, you know, that's Bitcoiners. Since 10,000 sats, 10,088 sats. And didn't even mention it. Love that. Thank you, Jason. We got Jay. Good morning, 1%ers. We got Joshua with the early zap for today. Okay, let's keep her going here. Parker, good morning, my friend. Mark. Hey, we got V Trades in the chat this morning. Good morning, V. Good to see you, brother. Salty Brewer. That looks like a new face. Good morning. Cheers to you. Happy Tuesday. And look at this over on the Zap stream. We got one of our Noster legends in the chat with a fat zap for today. Mav21. 10,000 sats. Thank you, my friend. We should share this with Noster, actually. We should share this with Noster. Mav21 found us without the share. Love that. Thank you, Mav. Appreciate you, brother. Hopefully this summer at some point, Mav and I will get to play some golf together. Some way, somehow, we're going to make it happen. J-Dog, morning Bitcoin crew, hold tight. That's right. Hold tight. Get as much as you can. Tommy D, good morning, brother. We got Peter, not Peter. Sorry, Peter. I know how offensive it is when people get your name wrong, although I'm pretty much immune to it. I would say that people get my name wrong more than they get it right, which is kind of sad. So whenever I have a kid, it's going to be like the most basic name ever. It'll be like Peter. Although I still managed to mess that one up, so you never know. But I don't know if it was a blessing or a curse, but very, very complicated name. Both the name itself, the name I go by, and the the middle name, the real name, the everything. I don't know. It's been a nightmare for school and government. But anyways, stay under the radar, I guess. Okay, working now. That's good. I don't know, Bodie. I didn't change anything, so maybe it's your ears that weren't working. Caden, good morning. Yeah, not Sue. We're not going to call him a boy named Sue. That's for sure. Shout out to Johnny Cash, Man in Black. Cleaning Machine. X is a good name, actually. There's a lot of people who don't like Elon just because he named his kid X. Could you imagine being that petty of a person? Imagine being that brainwashed that you're just finding things to hate Elon about. Oh, his kid's name's X. He's an idiot. Okay. Gotcha. Built PayPal, SpaceX, Tesla, Boring Company. Yeah, he's an idiot. Okay, well, we got lots to talk about today. Letha said, don't name them Letha. I actually love the name Letha. But yeah, I could see how it would be hard to it would be an easy name to pick on, I think, especially for kids. I don't think parents put enough thought into the names of their kids. Although I shouldn't say that. People put way too much time into it, but they don't consider the right things. That's my theory. Not everybody. There's a lot of great names out there, but for the most part, most parents are dipshits. And I know I have a hard time saying that because I'm not a parent yet, but I think everybody should have a dog before they have kids. I think that's a good test. Should have to have a dog from a puppy, raise it from a puppy before you can have a kid. I don't know how that would work. I know that goes against our freedoms, but I feel like that would be a much better outcome for the world. They are? There he is, the white wolf. Did you guys see that yesterday? The white wolf? Let me show you quickly. I do this every day. Trying to be better with like the YouTube stuff here. Had a really good conversation with a guy yesterday, a guy named Joe. And he helped me quite a bit. Gave me a lot of good tips on the channel because the problem that I've had so far with this channel is what? Well, what's been my problem? Well, first of all, I never got into this to become a YouTuber. That was my first problem. Second problem is that I've spent the last 4 years basically 100%. Well, not as close to 100% as you can get in terms of trying to learn Bitcoin, to try to learn as much as I can and cover as many different topics. So I have stuff to talk about here every day. So not only for the show, but for myself and for the future, I've been putting all of my focus, all of my energy into Bitcoin. And I put 0% into actually learning how to make a channel, a YouTube channel. So Joe helped me quite a bit. And so I've been trying to keep these to an hour just for the YouTube, the algos. But I don't know. I start talking about stupid shit and then I go down rabbit holes. So who knows? I think that's a benefit that wouldn't show up on any algorithms, is the fact that you never know what the hell we're going to see on here. Any given day, any given moment, you don't know what you're going to see on the Bitcoin journey. What was I going to show you? Oh, the white wolf. There's the white wolf right there, but that's not what we're talking about. There's our good friend Odell. Here it is. So Time Magazine, the May 12th edition has been released. And it says, this is Remus. He's a dire wolf, the first to exist in over 10,000 years. Endangered species could be changed forever. Endangered species could be changed forever. I don't know. Looks like somebody that I know. So maybe Arnie wandered and did some mating. Or we just have really good technology now. But I'm going with Arnie snuck off for an afternoon somewhere. But it looks very similar to Arnie. He's got a little bit fatter and shorter nose, but that is like a carbon copy of Arnie. Everything. Ears, even like the tan on his coat, tail, paws, everything looks the exact same. Although I think that they're obviously he's a lot bigger than Arnie. That would be one thing, but in terms of like the dire wolf. So that's kind of cool. Obviously, we know it has nothing to do with Arnie. It's just a joke, but pretty cool nonetheless. Ian is a great name. I agree with that. Ian is a great name. Very hard to mess that one up. That's a timeless name. Elvin, sup from Thailand. Sneaky shift to a Bitcoin standard. Please elaborate. Oh, don't worry. I will. Bit Billy. Good morning, my friend. Great to see you. Hey, did you receive the package yet? I'm guessing you didn't because I'm thinking you would have texted me, but just double checking. Frank, infinity divided by 21 million. Good morning. Keep stacking. Jor, how's your mom? She's doing good. She's doing really good. It's amazing how far she's come in the last week. I mean, it all started on March 3rd. So it's been like over a month now. That's when her surgery was. So it all worked out good. I have nothing but respect and probably even more respect for the healthcare workers, not the system itself, but the workers. They have been extremely helpful in mom's recovery. I would change a bunch of things within the system, but the people there, the healthcare workers, the doctors, the nurses, everybody there, very, very high quality people. So they've been helping her. So it's good. Things are looking good. It's just like we knew, like we didn't know that. That was the big shock when when everything happened. Obviously, things could have went south. Whenever you have an infection running through your body, things could go fast. Things could go south very quickly. But assuming that everything was okay, which it has turned out to be so far, knock on wood, we knew it was going to be a long road to recovery. So, anyways, thanks for asking, Frank. Tom, good morning. And another glorious day. That is absolutely right. Jay says, Joe Rogan episode yesterday was about bringing these wolves back genetically. There's 3 at the moment. Interesting. Arnie's Poppy. Yeah, that's right. Could be. I swear he has some wolf in him. Should make a shirt of Arnie's face with laser eyes. Ooh, that's a good idea. That might be one of our special edition hoodies coming out in the future. I'm going to try to do a couple of those every year for the community here. First one was the We Are Right About Bitcoin. Second one, I think, is going to be green light. And maybe the third one will be a face of Arnie's face with laser eyes. That's a great idea. White wolves are prone to hearing problems. Yeah, that's, I believe that. Arnie has no problem hearing. He just has problems listening sometimes. He has very selective hearing. Look at that. We got Craig over in the chat this morning. Arnie and Remus Insurance. Who's Remus? Is that the wolf? Must be. Remus. Remus. That's a name that you would avoid as a kid. Remus. Rhymes with penis. We're in a good mood today. We're feeling good. We're feeling fine. All right, where should we begin? That's the question. Where should we begin here? let's give away some Bitcoin to start. We always wait till the end, and I always forget. So let's give away some Bitty here quickly. In the meantime, though, I want to give some shout outs here because yesterday was a historic day for the channel, for the world, actually, you might say. We hit our very first UTXO for the Rescue Dog Fund. We were waiting until we hit 500,000 beautiful, scarce sats, and we did. We now have exactly 501,139 sats for the dogs. So I'm going to be creating a UTXO sometime soon. I was going to do it on today's show, but there's too much going on. So I might either just do it myself or I wanted to do it on the show. But anyways, I want to give a couple shout outs though, because it was actually something really cool that happened. So we were talking about it yesterday. We were hoping to get to 500,000. I knew it was going to be a long shot, but we ended up getting a total of 91,627 sats yesterday alone from yesterday's show. And this was the cool part. We got a zap at later in the day, 5 p.m., 20,400 sats from, it said, the note says, "Hey, Jor, happy to hear your mom is doing better. Hopefully over 100K or 500K sats now from Ryan." So that was actually the zap that put us over the 500K sats, just like he predicted. So thank you, Ryan. That worked out perfectly. And also want to give a shout out to somebody who sent in 10,000 sats after hours yesterday. No, that was this morning. Very early, 10,000 sats. So thank you for that. Very much appreciated. Alrighty, so let's keep moving on here. I summon Satoshi. Was just talking about you. I must have summoned you. Thanks again for the chat yesterday, and thank you for the help. We're gonna boost these numbers because again, I spend zero time thinking about it, but I realize how important it is because the whole goal here is to reach as many people as possible. I don't want to do it in like a greasy way or like try to game it, but there's things that help, right? So I want to do that because it's important for the mission here. Arnie's back. Okay, so get out your Lightning wallets, point your phone at the screen, and get ready for some action here. First person to scan this QR code is going to win at least 210 sats. Man, my brain and my mouth are not in sync. Somebody on Jerry's channel yesterday said that I talk slower than the Bitcoin blockchain. That's okay. Here we go. There we go. 2,100 sats for somebody out there. Some lucky person just won 2,100 life-changing, beautiful, scarce sats. Courtesy of the Bitcoin Well. You win that, you put that into a wallet for 30 years, you would be absolutely amazed by what that'll get you. Even 10 years. In 10 years, I bet that would buy something significant. Something that you won from showing up to a random YouTube show and pointing your phone at the screen and scanning a QR code. That's crazy to me. So there you go. At the bottom there, it says the link. There's been some more people signing up for Bitcoin Well as of late. So that's good. That must mean that either I'm doing a good job of selling Bitcoin Well or there's new people watching the show. But anyways, you can sign up there, bitcoinwell.com/Jor, and you can get yourself 5 free tosses into the wishing well. And you can be using the best Bitcoin exchange in North America, in my opinion, possibly the world. They're on Team Bitcoin. They got the lowest fees and they have the best platform, the best website, the most features on it. You can swap for free. You can set up a recurring buy using Lightning, which is huge for UTXO management. You can sell, although I wouldn't recommend it. You should be selling your Bitcoin if you have to other Bitcoiners. But the other thing too, you can pay bills. The other thing too here, you get the wishing well. So just for using that link and spending about, I think it's $100, you're going to get back at least 1,000 sats. Each toss into the wishing well is a minimum of 210 sats, maximum of 1 million sats. So there you go. Big thanks to Bitcoin Well. They do not pay me. I'm just a very, very happy customer, and I love the fact that they give sats here to the community. So one more time, bitcoinwell.com/Jor. Try it out. That's it. Yes, we are, Jor, top of the world soon. That's right. 10 years, it'll be a mortgage payment. Yeah, I'd say at a minimum, like a monthly payment. Yeah, that would be, no, I guess that would be about 1 sat equals $1. So I could see that. I could see that in 10 years from now. A lot of people will call that crazy. Look who it is, the White Wolf, Remus. Remus 2. Actually, Arnie's a way better name than Remus. So, fuck Remus. Hey, LaughPad, good morning. I got to apologize to a couple of people because when I was making that post about the rescue dogs last night, sometimes Nostr can be tricky with who it brings up, like when you're trying to tag people. And LaughPad, I'm sorry I left you off there. I didn't mean to. I actually tried to tag you, but it wouldn't pick up your profile. I don't know why that is. Nostr just does that sometimes. That's one thing I would love Nostr to be better at, is tagging people. But anyways, let's move on here. I saw the screen light up here. What was that for? I think somebody zapped me a coffee. That's what it looks like to me. 37. Oh, this is what I love. This is a perfect example of why I love when the price of Bitcoin goes down. A perfect example. So, as you guys probably know now, you can zap me a coffee. It's in my show notes here. You don't have to have Nostr. As long as you have a Lightning wallet, you can use that link, and I'll put it here real quickly just for anybody who's interested. But this is what I love about when Bitcoin crashes. This is a perfect example. So last week when somebody zapped me a coffee, we got 3,642 sats. Okay. So basically what it does, I'll bring it up here real quickly because it basically uses $3. That's kind of the threshold for it. So you can zap me a coffee for $3 worth here. That's what it says. So last week, somebody zapped one 4 days ago, 3,600 sats. And then today, somebody used this exact same link for a $3 coffee. But this time, because Bitcoin's price is down, I actually got 3,759 sats. So something just as small as that, that's over 100 sat difference when the price is down. So you think about that in terms of you buying Bitcoin and getting more sats, obviously, but also when you're going to work every day and you're putting whatever value that you receive into Bitcoin, when Bitcoin's down, you get paid more. Your salary is up. And in this case, somebody's zapped me a coffee, my salary's up. So that's pretty cool. Sorry, Jor, I have not checked my PO box in a bit, on my way now. All right. Well, you should have it there because I think I sent it about a week ago now. Own Our Trauma. Do you have any thoughts about the lawsuit that was filed yesterday in the US against DHS to reveal who they claim created Bitcoin? My first thoughts on that was good luck. This person or group of people have managed to stay anonymous for 16 years. I don't think that anybody's going to change that. But the other thing that I thought of there was, look at that good boy. Taking a little snooze. You've earned it, Arnie. You've earned it. Taking a snooze with a sock in his mouth. Nice. Dirty sock. God loves dirty socks. Oh, look at this. Somebody just sent another coffee, the exact same amount. So Bitcoin price obviously hasn't changed in the last couple minutes here. 3,759 sats for the DCA, the dollar coffee average. Wow. Whoever thought of that? You got some creative skills there. It looks like LaughPad. Thank you, LaughPad. And Clean Your Machine was the other one. Thanks, fellas. I like that for some reason. I don't know why. It's kind of cool. But anyways, back to this. The first thing that I thought of was that obviously somebody knows who Satoshi is. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. I was thinking of a different story. Because if the story is true in the sense that when Satoshi was in communication with the community there, the Bitcoin community, these cypherpunks, one of them, I forget who it was, but one of them emailed Satoshi and said that they had a meeting with the CIA. I'm pretty sure that's how it went. So when I thought about this morning, I thought that it was Satoshi who actually took a meeting, but that's not true. It was actually somebody who was in communication, whether it was Peter Todd or I don't think he was Hal Finney, but one of those guys. They actually had a meeting. The CIA invited them in to talk about Bitcoin. And then Satoshi disappeared after that. That was the last time that they had heard about Satoshi or heard from him. So kind of weird to me. But at the same time, like I'm under the impression that Bitcoin was created by the NSA. That's my theory. Good people within the NSA. And the reason I say good people within the NSA is because number one, the NSA came up with the SHA-256 algorithm, which is a huge part of the encryption and security of the Bitcoin network. So that's part of it. But the other part too is that the reason why I think it was good guys is because Bitcoin has no benefit to bad actors. Bitcoin has zero benefit to anybody in the centralized system. It's actually a nightmare to that system. It's going to end that system. So why would somebody from within that system create Bitcoin and give it to the world? That makes no sense if they had bad intentions. So that's why I think it was actually good people within the NSA. Could be Jack Dorsey might have been one of those people. Not saying he was part of the NSA, but there's a lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes in the world that we really have no idea about. And it's the weird part is it starts at a very young age. And grooming might be a word for it, but I don't know if it's grooming. But when here's the weird thing. And I know that there's probably people watching today that will know who I'm talking about here. But the weird thing with some of these government agencies is that when they find like different child prodigies, we'll call them, they take them and put them into their special little schools at a very young age. Some of them are really smart. Some of them are smart and kind of abandoned by their parents, something like that. But this happens. This has happened a lot throughout history. So anyways, going back to the NSA there, I think that's who created it. I think it was within every entity, though, there are good people. And that's what people fail to remember here is that within every single organization on the planet, whether it's government, big corporations, banks, everything, they're just made up of people. And within each of those entities, governments, agencies like the CIA, NSA, there's good people working within those. Unfortunately, the fiat system, and this is kind of a whole nother rabbit hole here, but unfortunately, the fiat system has actually creates incentives for them to attack the supervisors, the managers, right? So I'll give you an example here. So let's say that there's an agency within the NSA. And let's say that within that agency, there are 300 people. All 300 people do not have to be bad people for something bad to happen within that agency, within that department. All it takes, you don't have to penetrate all 300 of those people. All you have to do is get their supervisor or their commander-in-chief, whatever you would call the person at the top looking after those 300 people. All you have to do is get them. And people get them either with bribes, financial bribes. When you have the ability to print money, you can do that very easily. Or blackmail is another big one. So all you have to do is penetrate the people at the top, and then they give their directions to the people who are under them. And if you're under somebody like that, what are you supposed to do? You either leave and don't have a job, or you just continue because you have to feed your family. You just take the directions from above. And that happens thousands, tens, hundreds of thousands of times, probably every day. That's how governments works. Smart people do not move up in government. The people who are at the top in government have been victims of blackmail and these bad incentives. Like, this isn't my opinion. I mean, I see Joe's in the chat here. This is the kind of stuff. This is why my channel, doesn't do very well on YouTube, because, I talk about stuff like this, but that's okay. That's okay. But that's kind of my theory on the whole thing, is that they probably already know. Whoever's looking into this lawsuit, they probably already know who it is. I think that Satoshi's either dead or gone. The keys have been burned. I don't think there's anything that could possibly come from that would change things. Chad says, is this jump in hash rate catching anyone's attention? Yes, we talked about it for about 5 minutes on the show yesterday. We hit a new all-time high in hash rate. 1 zettahash. So 1,000 exahash per second jumped up to 1, or no, not 1, but I guess it'd be 1.0 zettahash for the first time in history. So yeah, pretty big news. Pretty big news. I see Spaceman over in the Zap stream. Good morning, Spaceman. And we got Into the Orange says, how do I zap Jor on here? Letha says, I see a pink zap button under Jor's video. I'm on zap.stream. Yeah, you should be able to. And Into the Orange, if you haven't, or if you can't, you can use this link to zap a coffee there. It works just as well. You don't need Nostr, you don't need an account or anything for that. Appreciate the thought. Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciate you. People will always ask who Satoshi is, just like we still ask who built the Great Pyramid. I hope it remains a mystery like that. That's the big difference between Bitcoin and everything else, is that we don't know who created it. They never gave themselves any. There was no initial coin offering. There was no pre-mine. It wasn't given to anybody. Every single Bitcoin in circulation today, 16 years later, has been earned fairly, earned in a fair way, either through Bitcoin mining, somebody mined it, or somebody added value to the world and traded their fiat for, why am I so blurry? Hello. I don't know. Maybe I'm just blurry. Own Your Trauma says, because of how heavy the Trump family just got into Bitcoin mining, I'm not super worried about it, but always worried about something crashing my retirement plan. Well, a couple things I'd say to that is, if you're worried about Bitcoin, you have to spend a little bit more time in Bitcoin. And I'm not saying that to be rude. I'm saying that the more studying you do within Bitcoin, the more you realize how hard this thing is going to be to capture. And I wouldn't tie the Trumps into it at all, although I do have my theories in how the Trumps were involved with Bitcoin. But the Trumps will come and go. Trump families, you have to remember that this asset's going to be here for the next, hopefully, 20,000 years, which is crazy. That's why I don't think that Bitcoin's really going to start until the mining rewards end. That's kind of when it's really going to, not that it's going to be like 1 sat equals $1 there. That's when 1 sat's going to basically, people will work a whole year for a couple sats at that point, when the mining ends. Jay says, who filed it is what I'd like to know. Yeah, that's a good question. And you should be able to find that out. I think that's got to be public knowledge, public records. All things will drop to zero versus Bitcoin except one thing, electricity. True. True words. Although the nice thing about Bitcoin is it's actually going to reward people who are finding cheap energy, right? Bitcoin's going to find the cheapest source of electricity around the world. That's where Bitcoin's going to start. Eventually, everybody's going to be mining Bitcoin in their house. They probably won't even know it. Just like they have things hooked up in their house right now that they don't understand. I don't understand half the shit that's running through this house. But every house, especially here in like northern parts of the world, will have a Bitcoin miner. And then people in Arizona will have a Bitcoin miner heating their pool. And then a business in Russia will be will be heating their factory or their shop with Bitcoin mining. Everybody will. We're so early in this whole thing, and it's crazy when you just zoom out a little bit and think about it. Hey, look at this verbal ass whooping. VAW. Greetings, brother. Top of the morning here in South and busy with work, but listening. Check your speed wallet. Hey, my man. I'll check it out right now for you. Special shout out for the speed wallet because it's not posted anywhere. So that's a little bit of proof of work there. A little bit of proof of work. Where are we here? 88 sats. Great number to the wallet. Oh, and there's 88 people in here right now. If you believe in numbers, who knows? It's funny how many people have accused me of being a Nazi sympathizer for having my show called 88 Sats. It's going to be, it's cool though. I got a couple different plans with the 88 Sats thing. But anyways, let's get to some freaking news here, my friends. Let's get to some news. Let me shoot off this email. Anyways, thank you, VAW. I appreciate that. To the speed wallet. Okay, so let me send this email off. We'll, oh shit. Drafts. Oh, I don't know why. I guess it's because I do this in the morning and I don't know when it's going to end my list, but I always forget to send it. Good thing it's always sitting in the drafts. Quickly, while we're up here, I know we love Noster most. Yeah, we got 91 people in here and 33 likes. Don't forget to like, don't forget to love, and don't forget to zap the show. The show has 0 sponsors. It is 100% funded by the community. So if you like it, you enjoy it, learn from it, you can send some value. Anyways, Maple Bitcoin here. Just in case there's people on X, I'm pretty sure there's probably more people on X than there are on Noster at this point. So there you go. You might as well check that out while we're here. But that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the email from today. Okay, so where should we begin here? First one, let's start with this one. We got some news to cover. So we're about 38 minutes into it today. We're going to cover some news here. I have a couple different things I'm going to talk about, including the sneaky shift to a Bitcoin standard. So I don't know how long the show is going to be today, but anyways, we'll start with this. Okay. So here we go. This is from BitcoinNews.com. Couldn't even get Bitcoin news. That was a nice thing about Maple Bitcoin is we pretty much got the handle for everything with that. Shows we're a unique breed. Anyways, here's the headline. Strategy discloses 5.91 billion in unrealized losses on its Bitcoin holdings for Q1 2025, according to a new SEC filing. So just spending a little bit of time on X yesterday, people were freaking out about this. I saw one post saying, I thought Bitcoin, I know it's X, I know it's the internet, but still, I thought Bitcoin was supposed to go up forever, which is true, but not day to day. And people have to understand that this is music to Michael Saylor's ears. The fact that they had a massive, that can't be though, that can't be right. I thought that they were gonna report. I guess that would have been for Q1. No, I don't know. I don't even know what. Wasn't there like a huge, like $13 billion gain that was coming from strategy? I don't understand that. That's where my disconnect here is right now, live on the internet. I thought strategy was supposed to have a $13 billion gain that would be recognized in Q2 for Q1. This doesn't make any sense to me because I remember watching the Q4 2024 report from strategy. So this might be a clip that I share just to see what people think, if there's any news out there about this. Oh, I'm still looking at it. It's not even on the screen. Oops, maybe I won't share it. But anyway, strategy disclosed a 5 billion unrealized losses on its Bitcoin holdings for Q1. Oh, okay. Okay. That makes more sense. I got it here. Green light just came on in my head. So let's read that again. I messed up. That's a Jor problem. So let's try this again. Strategy discloses 5.91 billion in unrealized losses on its Bitcoin holdings for Q1 2025, according to a new SEC filing. So that makes more sense because I thought that that's what they would be reporting for their Q1. Is it? I'm still missing it here. Because at the end of 2024, Q4 2024, they had a $13 billion gain on their Bitcoin because of the new FASB changes. And they shared that in their quarterly earnings report for Q4 2024 and said that it would be reported whenever they do their next report for Q1. So I think that that's still in place. Like that wouldn't change. That's from Q4 2024. But this one, they have a loss now. But again, going back to all the posts, all the panic I saw on Twitter about this, saying that I thought Bitcoin only goes up forever. Maybe strategy isn't such a great strategy. There was a bunch of people bashing strategy because of this loss. But that's how fair value accounting works. When the price goes up, you can value it at the high price. When the price drops, you have to value it at that price. When it's fair value, it's whatever it's worth at that time. So before, if you compare that to how Bitcoin was reported for public entities before the new FASB changes, basically, if you had bought Bitcoin at $10,000, that was your cost, and it went up to $100,000, you weren't allowed to mark that up to $100,000. You had to keep it at your cost of $10,000. Plus, if it ever dropped, if it went down to $7,000, that's where you would have to report it on your balance sheet. So it was extremely unfair. It didn't make any sort of sense. They were valuing this asset completely differently than it should be valued. They were valuing it essentially like a trademark or a patent, which usually once that drops, it stays down forever. It's not like it rebounds. But Bitcoin has. Bitcoin's dropped 4 times to a new low, 80%, and then run up to an all-time high 4 times. So this is obviously a much different asset than an intangible asset like a trademark or a patent. So now it's being fairly valued on their balance sheet. And this is what's going to happen. You're going to see it go way up because it can now, and you're going to see it drop. There's going to be gains. There's going to be losses. That's the whole point of fair value accounting. So this has nothing to do with anything. This is just all based on Bitcoin, right? So news, but not really news. So I still think that their next quarterly report, the next filing that they have, will have a $13 billion gain, which is probably going to be looked over now a little bit because of this, but that's okay. The whole thing, and going back to kind of what I was saying there, is that this is music to Michael Saylor's ears. He wants volatility within strategy. He wants it to run up. He wants it to crash. That's the whole game here, because he has the common stock that's going up and down, and then he has his fixed convertible debt, the strike, the strife, which is more of a stable, a capped, cap gains, cap losses there. Yes, Thank you, Bird Meta. This is what I was hoping for as I was going through that in my own head there. So the gain loss will be from FASB when it initiated to the next quarter. Yeah. Okay, so we're back. That was a tough one, but we figured it out, I think. Garza says, hi there from Florence, Italy. Thanks for the great content as always. What do you think about solo mining with the BitAxe? I think every single person within Bitcoin should be. Kind of my thoughts on this is, and I've actually changed my mind a little bit on this as well, because I now see more importance. I now realize the importance of running your own node more so than I did before, in terms of not only like helping decentralize the Bitcoin network, but also to help your privacy. So I used to say, you should have a certain amount of Bitcoin before you start running your own node, before you get a miner, before you get a cold storage device like a cold card. But I've changed my mind on that. All three of those things, I think you should be ordering as soon as you possibly can. A BitAxe, a Start9 server, and a cold storage device if you don't already have one. They're going to be important. And I don't know what's going to happen here in the future with border agents, with postal workers, with Best Buy workers, Amazon workers. Lots of uncertainty there. So I would just get these devices as quickly as you can into your own hands. And in the show notes, you should be able to find the BitAxe link that I have for the Bitcoin Journey show. I'll put it in the chat too, but there's also Start9 in there. There's a cold card discount. You should always be using your referral codes or discount codes any chance you get. Obviously save some sats, usually get something in return, but I just put in the link there in case anybody's looking into ordering a BitAxe. Joe says proof of work in life is key. That's why you will make it big, Jor, because you don't mind working for the win. Yeah, it's been tough. I'm going to do speaking of proof of work, I'll maybe come back to this at the end, but I'll mention it quickly now. But so tomorrow, Wednesday, every Wednesday, we do a private show for members only, for Living in the Future, for Bitcoin Journeyman. And the course that we do on Wednesdays is called Proof of Work. So we've had about 5 episodes now, I think. We spent all 5 trying to figure out, who we are, where we want to go, setting our direction. But tomorrow I'm going to be talking about an important one here. I was going to talk about it on the show today, but I don't really want to throw the guy under the bus. But it was actually somebody that probably everybody will know here who I'm going to talk about tomorrow. And I'm not trying to do it behind his back. I just don't want to talk about it on the public show here. I just don't see any benefit to that. So I want to talk about it. I want to get it off my chest. I want to show how important proof of work is in this exact scenario and why you should be applying this to everything that you do in life today and into the future. So that's going to be the focus for tomorrow. We're going to watch a video. We're going to talk about it. And it was actually the video was about me. So I'm going to keep it a private show because I disagree with the person. But anyways, so if you want to be part of that tomorrow, you can easily join here. It's $5 a month. It is the best $5 per month you will ever spend. You get the Wednesday shows, you get all the shows on the channel here, all the episodes, the private stuff, and you get access to our beautiful, amazing Living in the Future community there. So I just shared the link there in case anybody wants to join, anybody wants to watch the show tomorrow. That is your best bet to do it. But yes, the course is called Proof of Work because that is the key. That's what makes everything work in life. Proof of work. Vasya, did you know about the Bitcoin block number 74,638, also known as the 184 billion Bitcoin bug? I haven't spent too much time looking about that. That is interesting, though. There hasn't been many bugs within Bitcoin, but I do know that there was some very early on. Which makes sense because at that time, if you look at the hash rate at block 74,000, there wasn't a whole lot of people mining. The network wasn't very secure. I'm very surprised that there wasn't more bugs and attacks on Bitcoin at that time. So let me just show you quickly here. All right. Lapad says, did you make the rescue UTXO yet? No. I wanted to do it on the show today, but we haven't had, we don't have time today. So we'll be doing it. And LaughPad also zapped 519 sats for the $5.19 billion loss from strategy. Thank you, LaughPad. All right, let's check this out. And we also got another zap here. Says Zaps, thanks for the show, Jor. I think I figured this thing out. With our favorite zap, 8,888 sats. And it looks like that came from the Zap stream. So I don't know. I'm guessing it's from Into the Orange here. Says I figured this thing out. So yes, Into the Orange. I don't see it on the Zap stream here, but it did come through. 8,888 sats. So thank you, my friend. That's our favorite number on the show here. Although I shouldn't say that. Our favorite number, the iconic zap, is 88,888. But 8,000 is a very close runner up to that. And the iconic zap has only been done once in show history. For now. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's check out this block here. No, actually, we're not going to look at the block. We're going to look at the hash rate. That's the important part. So you can see here, let's look back to when was block, what was this? Block 74638. Okay, so that was 76. This is the cool thing about Bitcoin. So transparent, so easy to find anything you want to. It's incredible. This is absolutely incredible that you can do this, in my opinion. So 76, 74. Okay, well, this is close enough. Because I just want to see what the date of this was. This was on August 25th, 2010. Does it say the... No, it doesn't. Okay. So that's all we need to know, though. We're going to go to August 25th-ish, 2010. So at that point here, 2010, I'm guessing it was right around here. So you can see the hash rate at this time when this bug happened was 2,948, I'm guessing mega hash per second. Pretty much a flat line. That's how many people were mining Bitcoin at this time. There was hardly anybody mining Bitcoin at this time. You could have mined Bitcoin with a laptop at this time because there were so few people competing against you. That's what you have to keep in mind here, that as the hash rate grows, as more and more people are mining Bitcoin, it's going to become harder and harder, and you're going to need more and more computing power. Right? So at this time, you could have mined Bitcoin with a very low computing power, like a laptop, because there was hardly anybody competing for it. But because it's grown significantly since then, you need a bunch of computing power now to even have a chance of hitting a serious chance of hitting a block. So again, we went from mega hash to gigahash to terahash to petahash to exahash. And you can see here last week, for the first time, we got to zettahash, or 1,000 exahash, aka zettahash. So we've officially, this is a huge deal. And I feel like nobody's talking about this in Bitcoin at all. We crossed a new threshold there, a new measurement. 1,000 exahash, or 1.025 zettahash. So look at that. Look how long that took to cross that line. That basically since we got off the ground here, we've been in exahash. So we went from 13 exahash in 2017. We climbed all the way up slowly over time here to 1,000 exahash per second, or 1 petahash. So this is a huge deal. Like, look how long that took. Basically almost 10 years. And we just crossed the Rubicon last week. Absolutely massive. This is the real indicator for Bitcoin. So, I mean, yes, that makes sense that somebody would hack Bitcoin at that time because hardly anybody, it would have been so easy to hack, right? Took me 30 seconds to Google the 88 thing. People are so dumb. Yeah, no doubt. Like if anybody listened to my show for like a half an hour, they would obviously know that that's not the case, right? But people don't. BTC Backpacker, good morning, my friend. Great to see you. All right, so Into the Orange says, I guess I almost figured it out. Maybe because I'm on mobile, I only have an invoice option to zap. Thanks for the heads up. Maybe I set my wallet up wrong here. Huh. Yeah, it could be something to do with your profile on Zapstream. But anyway, the saps. Ooh, that's an interesting one. The saps. A mixture of zaps and sats. And this is where it clicked for me. Maple Bitcoin. SAP. You would not want to spend a day in my brain. Let me just tell you that. There's a lot going on. Report the gains for Q2. Yes. Okay. It makes more sense now, I think. Unless I've got that wrong, but that's what makes sense to me. Need more coffee. Yes, we do. But the people in here, LaughPad and Clean Your Machine, are doing their best to keep me caffeinated. Okay. What's next? What is next here? This was an interesting one. Let's bring up this one. Satoshi will be back. Bunch of noise. Jay, you think he's going to be back or they're going to be back? Or are you saying that the fact that he's coming back is a bunch of noise? I would agree with the second part. I don't think he's ever coming back. Grit Block 13. It's an interesting one. I like it. Strategy swinging $528 million with every $1,000 Bitcoin movement. Wow, that's wild. That's wild. So that would mean their gain loss. So if Bitcoin goes up $1,000, if it went from 75,000 to 76,000, that means that Strategy that day would report a $528 million gain. If it dropped from 76 to 75, the price of Bitcoin, Strategy for that day would report a $528 million loss. But thankfully, they don't have to report daily gains and losses. It's just at the end of every quarter for a public company. But that's crazy. Steven says, if you move sats in this order from a KYC exchange to a hardware wallet to Aqua to an L2 like speed, but never back to a hard wallet, are these sats able to be used for transactions? I mean, you're better off. Here's the thing. Whenever you buy Bitcoin on an exchange, that Bitcoin, that will always be attached to your name. And there'll always be somebody, assuming things don't get better, assuming we're still paying tax on Bitcoin in 10 years, which I don't think we will be, but they'll always know how much you bought. From there, you can do different things in terms of cutting that cord. So even though they know that you have it and they're probably going to ask what happened to it, they don't need to know where it went from there if you do it properly using things like Aqua. Cool story, bro. Is Tangent Wallet good? Must be new to the channel here. I've spent if I had a nickel every time, if I had a sat for every time I talked about the Tangent Wallet, I'd probably have one Bitcoin. Short answer, no, don't ever use Tangent, ever. Long answer, Ask Perplexity. I don't need to spend time here. Lotto ticket every 10 minutes. That's right. Bidax Gamma. Joe says, that's why it's so perfect. If the internet was any more advanced in 09, it would have been hacked. Yeah, that's the thing. It was all so perfectly designed. That's why I think that Joe and I actually chatted about this yesterday, but that's why I think that Satoshi or whoever created Bitcoin was actually a time traveler. Because if you think about it, this is kind of my argument for why I think Satoshi was a time traveler. Because as Joe said here, in 2009, that's when Bitcoin was released. It was discovered much earlier. It was a compilation of a bunch of different projects and things that happened for about 50 years leading up to January 3rd, 2009. But in 2009, Bitcoin couldn't have worked because the internet wasn't fast enough. It was also in 2009 where right after the great financial crisis of 2008, in October of 2008, that's when the white paper was released. So essentially right after the great financial collapse of 08, Bitcoin was introduced, the white paper was released, and then in 2009, that's when the first block was mined. And the first block actually gave a nod to the great financial crisis of 2008, and it had a newspaper article, Chancellor on the brink of second collapse, something like that. But why I think Satoshi was a time traveler is because how everything was so well thought out in terms of the psychology behind Bitcoin, the grassroots aspect of Bitcoin, the supply, the swings, the cycles, and getting people interested, and a small percentage of people actually sticking around for the next one. And of course, the encryption and the mathematical aspect of Bitcoin. But if you think about it, in my opinion, there's no living person who would ever release something into the world like Bitcoin that could have the impact that Bitcoin is having and not live to see it through if it was just a regular person. Because if you release this thing in 2009 and the last block subsidy wasn't until 2140, you know that you're going to release this thing and you're not going to see that project through for the whole time. So I don't think that any human would have that vision to create something that they wouldn't be able to see play out. That's my opinion on it. And so the reason I think Satoshi or the group, who knows who it was, what it was, but I think that they were time travelers because they don't have the same concept of time as the average person would. That's why I think that Satoshi was a time traveler. Thoughts? Questions? Concerned? Yeah, agree with this. Time to try some mushrooms and talk to aliens about the Bitcoin. Maybe it was a time traveler, maybe it was an alien, but it wasn't a normal human being. That's kind of that's what I'm getting at. Because no normal human being would release something so big, so perfectly designed, and not be able to, and know that you're not going to live to see it through. Jake says, where do you find the live feed broadcast once you've paid? Is that for the Living in the Future? So I share the link both on the YouTube channel here. You can join as a Bitcoin journeyman, and I share it on like the main channel. You'll be able to scroll down and click the link there. Also in Patreon, I share it at the top of the page there. So you should actually be able to copy and paste the link that I share tomorrow morning, put it into a browser, and you'll be able to show up for not just to watch the show, but to comment as well. To hack one zettahash, you would need 20 qubits. I don't understand quantum computing, but it sounds like, where are we right now in terms of that? Qubits, like one, less than one? Seems like it's a long ways away based on how secure the Bitcoin network is today. Tyler, good morning. Good to see you, man. Sat Stacker. Maybe this will be my thumb. Maybe this will be the thumbnail for the show. Matching this face. Who knows? I might use that sometime. Be you. Yeah, that's right. Have to. Otherwise, people would figure you out. You have to be yourself. Brian says, does anyone else remember AOL dial-up? Yahoo as the only search engine? I do. That's where we're at in Bitcoin terms. Fiber optic stage around the corner. Great analogy, Brian. Hello, 88 Maple Leaves. Good morning. That's right. Laughpad understands. He gets it. Tangent. Okay, so let's check this out. Where is this now? I just had it opened up. I thought. There it is. Okay. Next piece. And we're already over 1 hour. Nice, Jor. Nice. This computer is just humming. Can you guys hear me and see me okay? Am I really laggy at all? Just let me know, please. Okay, look at this. Massive news. Absolutely massive news here. Pierre Rashad. I'm founding the Bitcoin Bond Company to provide transparent financial products that help institutional investors access Bitcoin's long-term growth. So he wrote a little, we could read it quickly because it was very well written here. So this is from April 7th, 2025, yesterday. Over the past 12 years of researching and educating about Bitcoin, I've found that its market price divides the world into 4 categories: strangers who see it as worthless, interested investors who feel it is too volatile, risk takers who want to outperform it, and sovereign individuals who want to accept it. Satoshi Nakamoto's original vision has been fulfilled. Bitcoin allows anyone in the world to seamlessly transact with electronic cash. Anyone can access the fundamental value of Bitcoin's utility. Decentralization empowers you with freedom to control your own money. Now it is time to accelerate adoption by securitizing Bitcoin for a wider set of investor risk appetite. The Bitcoin Bond Company's mission is to create long-term relationships between credit allocators who want protection from volatility and equity risk takers who want to outperform Bitcoin. We can unlock value for capital markets with Bitcoin-backed structured finance that provides transparent, regulated, and efficient risk transfer for the global strategic reserve asset. We are dedicated to helping financial institutions invest in the Bitcoin network's growth with responsible, tailor-made products that suit their needs. Our plan is to acquire $1 trillion worth of Bitcoin on behalf of clients over the next 21 years, market conditions permitting. Pierre Rashad, Chief Executive Officer of the Bitcoin Bond Company. How good is that? I absolutely love this. Absolutely love this. And I'm sure there's going to be people shitting on Pierre for this, but I absolutely love this. And Pierre, if you ever happen to watch this video, I would love to help you in any way with this. I think that there is such a huge demand for this product. We're obviously seeing that from Strategy, from Metaplanet, from Semler Scientific. There's a whole ton of capital. The biggest pools of capital on earth are desperate to buy Bitcoin, but the current system doesn't allow them to do that because they can't actually hold Bitcoin yet. I think there's going to be a day in the future where they do, and I'm sure that the Bitcoin Bond Company will have thought that out. But today, April 8th, 2025, the biggest pools of capital want Bitcoin, and they have really no way to do it other than Strategy, other than Strife, Metaplanet, these things I've already mentioned here. But imagine when all this capital has several options, not just one. I consider Strategy to be like a highway, super highway, connecting the big pools of capital to Bitcoin. But imagine if you had 5 superhighways or 10 superhighways. Imagine how quickly that Bitcoin, that demand could be unlocked. So massive shout out here to Pierre. I would do something like this if I had the ability to do it, but I don't. So it's great to see guys like Pierre. Pierre has been such a great, such a strong positive, net positive for Bitcoin through the years. As you mentioned there, 12 years. So he's helped me kind of understand a few things within Bitcoin without a real podcast or anything, just from being on different podcasts. So he's been growing, he's been learning, he's been adding to the Bitcoin network for 12 years. And it's great to see somebody like that, a true Bitcoiner, a true OG Bitcoiner, get into something like this. So big news. Again, I think that there's probably going to be a lot of people shitting on him for that, but I want to give him a shout out because that it's important. That capital has to flow. It has to be able to easily flow into Bitcoin, and things like this help that. Brian says it took 5 minutes just to get online. Yeah, remember that? You couldn't use. I remember that. You couldn't use the internet while somebody was on the phone at your house. Hilarious. Jay says definitely revaluing our time, something the monkey brain cannot properly do. That's what I mean. I don't think it's possible that Satoshi was just an average person. They would have some sort of superpowers. Maybe that's what I'll title that video. Satoshi had superpowers. Maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe. When this thing hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit. Is that from Back to the Future? No. Is it? That'd be crazy if that was 88 miles per hour. Somebody's got to confirm that for me. Can sats be fractional? Yeah, they actually already are. That's the crazy part. What app was I using where I got microsats for it? What was that? Oh, damn. I don't know. But there was something I was doing the other day where I was getting, like, let's say 100.21 sats. I forget what it was on. But yes, there's I think they're either called millisats or microsats. And so it's already happening. Whenever you're splitting up sats, like 100.22 sats, that's millisats in action right there. That 0.2 sats, 0.22, that's millisats or microsats, whatever you want to call it. But my theory on it, and this is why I think, and this is the argument that I had on Maple Bitcoin, is because I think that because Bitcoin's so scarce, I don't think that people are going to be able to use it forever as like a transactional, like a day-to-day use in the future when sats are worth, because think about it. If one sat became $10,000 per sat, if you had $10,000 worth of purchasing power with one sat, what would you do with that? That would be very similar to like going to a store with a gold coin and trying to pay for your groceries, right? Because the coin there is $3,000 worth, and you would have to shave it off to get down to whatever you needed to pay for. So that's why I think that there's going to be a bunch of different stable coins around the world, from banks, from municipalities, from anything. It's all going to be backed by Bitcoin, though. That's the key there. And if your stablecoin doesn't have any Bitcoin backing it and you're not showing proof of reserves, nobody's going to use your stablecoin because they're not going to trust that there's actually Bitcoin backing that. So I think we're either going to I don't know how many times we can cut Bitcoin in half. That's what I don't understand in terms of sats, because I had a theory that you could just keep cutting it, but I don't know how that would work with everything. I'm pretty sure you could. But I'm not 100% sure on that. So either in the future there will be fractionalized and then fractionalized, or there'll be stable coins, or a mixture of both. Because realistically, there's not enough sats on this planet for everybody to be transacting with it. That's something that not a whole lot of Bitcoiners talk about. We get the piece of the pie thing here in terms of you're not creating a bigger pizza. You're just splitting it more. You're cutting the slices thinner. But it's still, I just don't know if the purchasing power, if we're taking all the assets of the world, all the future productivity of the world, I'm not sure you could jam that into the amount of sats that are available in there. So you'll have to start fractionalizing, or you'll have to release things on top of Bitcoin to make up for that. And I don't know how long that takes to play out. Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. Ember Sats has microsats. Yes. That's one of them, but I think it was something else. But yes, Ember does have microsats. Brennan says, "What do you guys run? What are you spending on per month when on energy when running your BitAxe and Start9 server?" I haven't noticed anything significant, but the thing in Canada here is that like for 6 months, my energy bill is through the roof, like from October to now, essentially, and then from now until October, I pretty much don't pay any energy because we don't have AC in this house, so we just kind of open windows. So I don't really pay attention to my energy bills too much. It's just the average of the year more so than anything else. But I don't think it's much. I'm thinking with the BitAxe and a Start9, it might be $5 a month, depending on what your electricity costs are. Nothing significant. Shitcoin companies are buying Bitcoin now too. Of course, everybody's going to. The only way that anybody's going to hold any assets is if it's backed by Bitcoin, in my opinion. Lapad says, look at the price per kilowatt in your area, probably about $5 to $10 a month. Kakel. Wow, what a great name. Kakel Nakamoto. Imagine you create something so revolutionary, take no credit, no profit, and go on with your life. Is this real? That's fucking crazy. There's, I don't know. Nobody gives a shit, but I do. There's so many things like this that have just kind of lined up that make so much sense. And when I came up with this whole channel and name and everything, like I thought of none of this. This is none of it. And so you have 88 miles per hour in Back to the Future. We have a private community called Living in the Future. None of this, everything just happened by accident here. I swear to God. I swear to God. When was that? What was that comment here? Where was that? Was it taken down? No, right here. Uncle Mergen. When this thing hits 88 miles per hour, you're going to see some serious shit. Wow. Wow. That's crazy. That is fucking crazy. Hey, some things are just meant to be. Sometimes the universe, if Noah's watching this, she would say, yeah, Jor, of course. We're living in a simulation. Anyways, let's check this next one out. This was, that's crazy. My mind's kind of blown right now. I'm not going to lie. This next one here, this is actually a reply to, and I haven't read this yet. I just saw it and I wanted to read it and react to it. So you can see Pierre's tweet here. I'm founding the Bitcoin Bond Company to provide transparent financial products. But let's see what the Predator had to say. Kind of a weird name. Reminds me of Predator. So first of all, I don't like this guy right off the hop. But anyways, he or she says, this whole thing reads like a giant red flag. Introducing your company to the world by declaring that your goal is to become a $1 trillion asset manager is like posting your first video to YouTube, saying the whole point of your channel is to get to 1 million subs. The focus should be on the value you bring to the customer and not the value you extract from them. Well, I disagree with that. He's not trying to extract value here. He's not saying that he wants to make $1 trillion in fees. He's saying that he wants to add as much value to obtain a bunch of clients who want to hold Bitcoin, and that they'll hold enough Bitcoin that Bitcoin will eventually be worth $1 trillion someday. What's wrong with that? I think absolutely when you start a new company, you should have a vision of where you want to go. Otherwise, you're not going to do anything. You're going to float around at sea. Maybe you want $1 million worth of Bitcoin. Maybe you want $1 billion. Maybe you want $1 trillion. Who knows? But if you don't declare it right off the hop, you don't have any sort of direction. So that's stupid. Point number one, stupid. 2, why is your plan to acquire X amount of dollars anyways? The goal should be to acquire X amount of Bitcoin. The unit you choose to value worth The unit you choose to value worth in tells a lot. Okay, well, learn to type, learn to speak. In most cases, my speech is the problem, but in this case, it was what I was reading there. But in that case, I mean, you have to remember that this guy's catering to people who don't have Bitcoin. What's he supposed to say there? He's not catering to Bitcoiners here, Predator. He's catering to people who don't have Bitcoin yet. So yes, if he was targeting me as a client, he would say, this is how many Bitcoin he wants. When he's targeting the legacy financial system, he's going to talk in dollars. That's the language that they speak. That's like communication 101. Speak to your audience. Number two, another dumb point. Saying that Satoshi's original vision of P2P cash has already been fulfilled. Now is the time to grow Bitcoin. IOU adoption is really, really spooky. IOU adoption is pretty much the only adoption Bitcoin has. We need less of it. That point I kind of agree with. And I actually was reading, as I was reading Pierre's thing here, saying that Satoshi Nakamoto's original vision has been fulfilled. Although at the same time, I could see both sides of it, because even though not everybody's using it as a P2P cash, I think that we are leaps and bounds ahead of like 5 years ago in terms of Lightning, Liquid, eCash, Nostr, Zapstream. It has been fulfilled in terms of allowing it to flow that way. Not that everybody's using it yet, but I think that the roads have been built to facilitate most people to use Bitcoin day to day. I use Bitcoin every day. So I would have a hard time arguing myself that that vision hasn't been fulfilled. I use Bitcoin every single day. So I kind of see your point to it. And maybe I misread that too when I first read Pierre's post here. But yeah. So number one, number two, strongly disagree with. Number three, I see where you're coming from, but I also disagree with that. So that has been my reaction to Predator. Okay. Wow. What a show today. And we didn't even get to what we're talking about today yet. Do we have time today? Okay, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. Why not? Oh, you know why my computer's been running so bad? Because I had the time chain calendar open. Fuck. Okay, let's catch up on some comments here. What's up, Zapstream? Pretty quiet over there. There's people over there, but pretty quiet chat today. I'm talking too much, maybe. Let's take a little wee break here. What do you think, Arn? No, you can only see his feet. Okay. Let's get to the comments here. So yes, we are back to the future. That's so crazy to me. 88 miles per hour, Marty. Microsats exist on layer 2. True. Yep. Yeah, I guess they wouldn't exist on layer 1 yet. That's right. That's a great point, actually, Jay. Not yet anyways, right? Because basically what would have to happen there, if sats, turn out to be what we think they're going to be in terms of how much they're worth, how much people value them, then they could still be on layer 1. I think it would just have to be a change in, or would it? That's where I get confused here. That's where I get confused. Like, is that a thing that the wallet would actually have to implement, or like a soft fork? Because I'm pretty sure the only measurement within Bitcoin as a whole is sats. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin. It's all about sats. So I don't know what that would look like in terms of splitting those on layer 1. That's a really interesting discussion, actually. Because if Bitcoin plays out like we expect it to, that is going to be a problem, I think. 2.1 quintillion sats, more than enough. I thought it was quadrillion. Oh no, I guess it'd be what is it? 210 quadrillion? 2.1 quintillion? I don't know. Either way, a lot of sats, more than enough to go Sat for dollar when the money supplies double again. How long will that take? Yeah, I mean, today, if we were to use Bitcoin as a transactional currency for the whole world, we'd probably have enough. But as a lot of that capital and productivity flows into Bitcoin and those sats become more and more valuable, then that's when it kind of becomes a problem. Hey, Crypto Princess, good morning. Hey, did I miss your show yesterday, Crypto Princess? I think that was yesterday. I didn't get a message from you. Anyways, you can cut it, but the people that run a node in mine have to decide for half a sat. So it would be a soft fork then, probably? We are living in the future, yes. Technical explanation for 88 miles per hour. 1 million sats will reach 1 trillion USD given enough time. McChilly. Are you Satoshi experiencing amnesia from the DeLorean? Galaxy Tile says, wow, George, starting to think you are the time traveler. Could you imagine? I mean, I was way too late to Bitcoin, and I'm too stupid to be anywhere close to that. Jay, I think there's only one way to go about custody. Jesus had 12 disciples. You will have the power to set people free. That's interesting. Yeah, it was 12 disciples, right? Because it was 13. It was 12 plus Jesus. Tyler says, when you import a wallet with a backup phrase, does the Bitcoin move on chain? When you import a wallet with a backup phrase, no. No, it wouldn't move. I summoned Satoshi. Joe says, in the movie The Matrix, they harness human body energy to live. Imagine if we make a self-learning mechanism that's only goal is to mine. Imagine if we make a self-learning mechanism that's only goal is to mine. Sounds scary. It does sound scary. No matter what your keys are, you need multiple and you need to have people you trust. Yep. Unless, of course, you use super backed. Then you don't have to trust anybody. That's what you want. You want to maintain full ownership without having to trust anybody and without having any trace of Bitcoin in your house. That's the goal. Everybody should be trying to get there. And that can be done today with super backed. Letha, got to run. Have a great day, guys. Same to you, Letha. Thanks for being here today, as always. Trust no one with your keys. Absolutely. Okay, we got to get to this news here. Not even news, but my what's the show title? Sneaky shift to a Bitcoin standard. Okay, so yesterday I made this post here. Where is it? Oh, it was on Maple Bitcoin channel. This did a lot better on X than Noster, but anyways. So this is my theory. Oh, I guess I should bring this up. All right, so where is it? The sneaky shift to a Bitcoin standard. This is the post that we had on Maple Bitcoin yesterday. It says countries that adapt first will win. Countries that adapt last will fall. Companies that adapt first will win. Companies that adapt last will fail. Individuals that adapt first will win. Individuals that adapt last will also win. That's my theory. That's on Maple Bitcoin Noster. We posted on X as well. And it did really well on X. And there were some people who were asking for an explanation on the individual aspect of that. So it ties into game theory in terms of the countries and the companies, but I want to focus on the individuals here. So the last part there said individuals that adapt first will win, and individuals that adapt last will also win. And I should have probably added a caveat there saying they just won't win as much. They won't have as much in the short term anyways. But kind of my whole theory on this, and the reason why this post came to be, is that I really believe that we're going through we're shifting to a Bitcoin standard right now. And most people have no idea. And kind of my theory on this is that back in 1971, we basically went through the same kind of thing where Nixon took the US off the gold standard. And if you put yourself back into that spot in 1971, you can imagine how many people actually not only watched that press conference with Nixon, but how many people actually understood what was happening there. So I think if you look back to 1971, if you actually went to a website called WTF Happened in 1971, you would see how much of a free fall the world went into after the US went off the gold standard, after they had the ability to create money without any sort of energy backing that money. So up until that point, currency, the dollar, was not 100% backed by gold, but there was still the impression, the trust there, because that dollar you could exchange for gold at the bank. 1971, they stopped that because everybody was coming to the US and saying, hey, we don't think you have as much gold as you say that you do, so we want ours back. And when that happened, that's when the US panicked. They went off the gold standard. Most people didn't see it. Even fewer people understood the implications of that. And that's what we're living through today, 50 years later. And so gradually and slowly from 1971 up until 2025, the world has gone to shit. Every aspect of society has decreased. Our quality of life down, crime up, hospital visits up, food quality down, birth rate down. Everything that you look at, every chart, look at that website, WTFhappened1971.com. Everything went to shit from 1971. And at the time, probably nobody had any sort of idea what was happening there. So my theory now is that we're living through the exact opposite of that. The pendulum is swinging backwards. And we've seen signs of this in the last year. We saw Trump talk at the Bitcoin conference. You could kind of compare that to Nixon's speech. Trump's team, they've done numerous. They had the digital asset summit or whatever it was. We've seen numerous press conferences, numerous announcements around Bitcoin that would point to this, that we might not even realize until 50 years from now, when we look back and say, that was the Nixon moment, but for Bitcoin. And again, going back to this last part here that said individuals that adapt first will win. The early adopters will win the biggest. But individuals that adapt Bitcoin last will also win. Because just like in 1971, where everything gradually got worse for everybody without them not even knowing it, things are going to gradually get better here for everybody without them knowing it. So as we move onto a Bitcoin standard, we're kind of in the process of that right now. Whether people want to believe that or not, that's what's happening. And so my theory is that life is just going to continue to get better and better and better. And nobody's even going to know what happened there. Nobody's going to understand Bitcoin. I'd say that 90% of people will never understand Bitcoin, but they're not going to have to, because it allows for transparency, honesty, fairness. And when these companies and countries start showing proof of reserves and we actually have something backing our currency, everything changes. Because every single issue we have in our society right now comes from the fact that a small group of people can print money. And when you take that away from them, everything gets better. That's why I said individuals that adapt last will also win, because it's just going to improve everything. The catchphrase in Bitcoin is that Bitcoin fixes everything. And that's not necessarily the case. It fixes a lot of things, but the main thing is that you have a solid foundation, like the Bitcoin layer 1, that you can build on top of and bring back truth, transparency, honesty, and sovereignty to the world. So that's kind of my theory here. And most people, again, don't realize that this is happening, but the people who have realized that and who are taking action are going to be the ones who benefit the most from this, whether that's countries, companies, individuals. Every entity who adopts Bitcoin first will win. Whatever they're trying to do, they will win. And the ones who fail to do that are going to lose significantly. And it'll take some time to play out, but that's what's happening right now, in my opinion. The sneaky move to a Bitcoin standard. Oh, I'm running out of, I got to top up my Zap stream here. Otherwise I'll forget tomorrow. Okay. Okay, that was somebody else. Sorry. So if I go to create stream, no, I don't want to do that. Okay, let's get to some more comments here as I top my balance up here. What did I miss? Tom says, I'm an outlier of the masses to flow in. Scoffed at Bitcoin for years. Now I think it's digital Jesus. More will follow in droves. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. That's the green light theory at work. 10-minute block confirmations mean hackers always have 10 minutes to make a network attack. 10 minutes? All right. They could, I think it would actually be more than that, wouldn't it be? If they actually had 2 weeks, like between the difficulty adjustment, I'm pretty sure somebody could try to capture the network in 2 weeks. But after that, all would be for nothing. They might get a couple Bitcoin, but all that they would have done there is increased the hash rate, increased the security of the network, and probably pumped up the price a little bit. Hard fork is required for increasing the number of sats per Bitcoin. I don't think that's what we'd have to do. I think the hard fork, that's what I don't understand. I don't know if it would need to be a hard fork or just a soft fork for the wallets, the software wallets, to actually account for microsats. BTC puzzles. Okay, sorry, I don't have time for puzzles today. We vote in the Bitcoin community. Yes. More and more older people are starting to look twice. That is 1,000%. 1,000%. Buck 52 says, got some old legacy SegWit Bitcoin. Wow. Nice flex. Anything to be aware of when moving? I've never had any legacy SegWit Bitcoin myself, so I don't have the answer to that. Ask Perplexity. They'll be able to point you in the right direction. Okay, let's top this up. Sorry, Arnie, these wallets are coming out of these sats are coming out of your wallet, man. Sorry about that. I'm not funding you and the wallets and the zaps. You got to pay some of your own expenses here, Arn. Okay, we're topped up. Rent has been paid. I've considered this as Bitcoin approaches $1 per sat. Yeah, that's what I mean. Imagine if it's if one sat has the purchasing power of like $10,000, which should eventually happen over time. Okay, we got a long epi today, folks. That's okay. That's okay. Lapata says, I think it's a soft fork move to move the decimal, similar to a stock split. You'd keep your sats, you just get 100x. That's kind of what I was thinking too. I just didn't know if it would have to be a soft fork or if certain wallets could just implement that themselves. But I think it's probably the same thing. No, it's not. I'm wondering if it has to be a soft fork or if it's a feature that could be added into a wallet. But I think you're right. I think it would have to be a soft fork. Bren says, what would your plan be if you just started your Bitcoin journey today? That's a good question. What would your plan be if you just started your Bitcoin journey today? I would sign up for an account on ShakePay. I know I love Bitcoin well, but I would use ShakePay in Canada or River in the US. And I would take everything that I have, everything that I have quick access to, whether that's like a savings account, whether that's TFSA here in Canada or an HSA in Canada, take anything that you can and dump it into Bitcoin today. Even if it's a large purchase, I mean, start small, but on River and ShakePay, it's very hard to mess that up. So take whatever you have, dump it into Bitcoin today, leave it on those exchanges, ShakePay or River. Don't take it out yet. That's what most people on YouTube within Bitcoin get wrong, in my opinion. They put too much of a focus on not your keys, not your coins. And I feel like that just scares people away. Because as much as I support that, obviously this whole show is about self-custody and taking ownership of your Bitcoin. But just to start, you could leave it on an exchange for like 1, 2, 3, 4 months. And then when you have sufficient knowledge, that's when you take it off into your own wallet. And that could be onto like a Aqua wallet on your phone, a hardware wallet like Sparrow on your desktop, or a device like Cold Card or Trezor. Even though I don't love Trezor, I think it's a really easy place to start. And then just gradually go up from there. But don't spend too much time, don't stress out about not knowing how to protect your Bitcoin. Just leave it on the exchange. So you could either do that with ShakePay, River, or like a Bitcoin ETF. You want to get the price exposure. That's the key at the start. You want to get the price exposure because this thing could blast off at any moment. We could get to 88 miles per hour here, see some serious shit at any moment. And you don't want to have that cash or other assets on the sidelines at that time. You want to have the price exposure to Bitcoin. So whether that's holding on an exchange for a little while or keeping it in Bitcoin ETF, just get the price exposure as fast as you can. And then take some time or hire somebody to help you secure that Bitcoin and move it off the exchange, sell your ETF, buy Bitcoin, move it to your wallet. Just like driving a car. I think that that's a great analogy. And I think that when you're first getting in Bitcoin, you kind of have two options. You can either invest your time, watch a bunch of videos, do whatever you need to do, learn how to protect your Bitcoin, or you can invest your dollars and hire somebody to help you with that. But it's very similar to driving a car where when you first learn to drive, it's not like somebody gives you the keys and says, hit the highway, good luck. You spend the first couple months or 6 months, whatever it is, with somebody as a passenger there, making sure that you don't do anything stupid. Sometimes they have a brake that they can press if you're going too fast. Sometimes it's just your parents or your brother or your friend who's helping you there. But it's the same kind of thing. And that's why I actually lean towards getting help from somebody because it's the same kind of thing. You don't want to hit the highway before you learn how to drive. You don't want to take custody of your Bitcoin before you learn how to secure that Bitcoin. Moral of the story, get price exposure as fast as you can. Take all of your assets, buy Bitcoin. Not all of your assets, but anything that you'd feel comfortable with putting into Bitcoin, and then learn. I think that that's where people get it wrong within Bitcoin. So with that, if you're watching this in Canada, I'll put my ShakePay link below. If you're a new Bitcoiner, I'll put my ShakePay link below, and I'll get a link for River as well. So both of those will be in the show notes there, and both should have some sort of incentive for using a link. But both those exchanges, although I like Bitcoin Well better for seasoned Bitcoiners, for people who know what they're doing, but for somebody who's brand new to Bitcoin, ShakePay is very easy. Okay. Lewis, it's the end of fiat as we know it, and I feel fine. The law of rhythm, the inflow, and the outflow of energy. What were we talking about there? The currency, maybe? How can Bitcoin improve food quality? Ooh, that's a good question. That's a good question. I love that. This would be about a 20-minute discussion, I think. But that's a good idea for a future show here. It has a lot to do with, very quickly, if you think about inflation and you think about the central banks and the governments trying to mask that inflation, when you're printing a lot of money, the costs of things go up, right? And so you want to do everything that you can to keep those prices down so that people don't figure out that there's a problem here. That's their whole goal. Realistically, I know that they try to, make that sound a lot more professional, but that's their whole goal, is to make sure that people don't figure out what's going on here. And so when prices are running up, when they're printing money and giving it to themselves and whoever they want to incentivize to do things their way, they need to try to mask that somehow. So what do? This involves food. This involves products, lumber, everything. What do? They find the cheapest inputs. So with food, if you think about food, If we had proper quality going into the food, our food would probably be 10x the cost based on the system that we have today. So if you took that away from them, if you took their ability to create money, the incentives change. And so you wouldn't have to just find the lowest possible, cheapest possible input for food, for clothing, for houses, for everything. You no longer have to source the cheapest input there, because think about food too. Think about lumber and other things. Imagine if we weren't using the cheapest possible inputs here. If we were going back to like what they built things with in the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, that type of material, that quality, everything would cost like 5 times more than it does today. So the reason they hide the inflation by finding the cheapest possible inputs with things. And so if you have Bitcoin, instead of an inflationary world, you actually move to a deflationary world. And you don't have to worry about keeping the cost down, because they're going to go down naturally. So when you understand that, the main takeaway there is that the incentives, the inflation, trying to mask inflation, incentivizes, the only way that they can keep prices somewhat down is by finding the cheapest quality ingredients for food and for everything. And that's why it costs you $2 to buy like a meal, a cheap meal, bad quality, but it costs you $20 for the better quality food. And nobody who's living, the bottom 50% of people here, they can't afford the better quality of food or of products or of houses. So that's why infrastructure has gone to shit, because they have to keep costs down. And so they have to find the cheapest sourced materials. That's why. And that changes on Bitcoin. Hey, look at that. We got a green light here. Somebody sent in 500 sats for the cost of running Zapstream. Thank you. Love that. So Arnie, you got some reimbursed there, my friend. Don't worry too much about it. Hates when I spend his sats. Okay. Okay, we got to keep this under 2 hours. Tom, stacking sats has changed my family's trajectory for the better. You will never regret saving in Bitcoin. Yep. 100%. Joe says, bad idea. 10-minute block means a hacker will have to overpower 1 zettahash. It's almost impossible in today's standards, so it won't happen. Our unofficial fact checker for the Bitcoin journey, Joe. Patrick, good morning, buddy. Got to run, Jay. No problem. We'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. Joe says, I only move Bitcoin in 0.1 UTXOs. I use a different wallet for consolidation, 4 wallets in total. Interesting. Is it okay to leave Bitcoin on the Fold app? Well, I mean, if you have the ability to move it off of the Fold app, I would suggest doing that. But if you're somebody who's brand new to Bitcoin, it's fine on Fold. But you're probably not using Fold if you're brand new to Bitcoin, so I would just suggest taking it off of Fold, personally. It was Wood Butcher for the cost of running Zapstream. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that a lot. Buck 52 says, I crashed into a tree first time I got behind the wheel. True story. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Exactly. So I think we're going to wrap things up here. Again, thank you everybody for the zaps today. Obviously, they were a little bit less than yesterday, but yesterday was a big one for the dogs, which is more important. So we got some fat zaps for today. Oh, look at this. I missed Mark. Sorry, Mark. Arnie. Morning, Arn. Let's get crazy today, eh? From Josh, 888 sats. We got 888 sats for the White Wolf from Mark. Thank you, Mark. And sorry for missing that earlier. And we got 10K. The fattest zap of the day goes to Mav21. Thank you, Mav. And we got a fat zap from Craig for Arnie and Remus Insurance. We got a couple coffees from Clean Your Machine and LaughPad. And we got our favorite zap from, I believe, Into the Orange of 8,888 sats. So thank you. And to everybody else for the smaller ones as well. Unfortunately, we can't rip through all of them, but those were the fat zaps of the day. And Daniel just topped up too. So that would be a top up, not an actual zap. So thank you, Daniel. I'm not going to verify that. I trust you. All right. So for the last time here, not the last time, but the second time of today, if you want to watch our show tomorrow, I think it's going to be a good one. If you're into drama and controversy and proof of work, you're going to want to watch the show tomorrow. I don't want to talk about the stuff on the public show. I don't think that that's fair to whoever I'm going to be talking about. And I'm not going to be bashing them. I'm just going to share my side of the story. So that's a little bit of a teaser for tomorrow's show. So you can join the Living the Future, which appears to be part of a time travel mission that I didn't know about. But you can join Living the Future. You can watch the Wednesday shows. You can watch all the videos on the channel. And you can get access to our Signal group chat. There's over 100 very knowledgeable, very helpful Bitcoiners in there. So that's a great place to start too. If you're new to Bitcoin, you need some guidance, you want somebody to hold your hand, you got 100 amazing folks in that community to help you through it for $5 a month. We need to bump that. I need to talk to my agent here. Anyways, have yourselves an amazing day, everybody. Thanks again for being here, and we'll see you Thursday or tomorrow for the Living the Future community. Bye-bye.